And he is, without a doubt, a talent for the future.
I still think there's some serious question marks which this window did not alleviate.
They're doing the right thing in the wrong order.
It's obviously been niggling at him for a while.
I think Auckland would be crazy to let him go.
You won't like to hear this, but I think that could be up Popper's sleeve.
So if I was that bad, then why would they ring me?
I'll be honest, playing against him, hated him.
Even at training, I was so scared of him.
Does not do. Look at him. So what we said was correct.
Yeah.
He signed a long-term deal.
Yeah, stop the show.
Special. Unbelievable! This, ladies and gentlemen, is football.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Total A-Leagues. I'm Vince Rugari. Boys, Tommy Orr, Daniel McBreen. What's cracking?
Vince, how's it going?
Oh, you know, living the dream.
Not too upset about Italy's result this morning?
Yeah, stop the show. Actually, I'm not.
Had to bring it up.
Actually, I'm not, to be honest. I don't really... I learned in 2006 that I'm Socceroos first, Daylight second, Italy third.
And
good to hear.
Italian cricket team second.
Yeah, Italian baseball team doing really good at a great Winter Olympics. There's a lot to be optimistic about. But, yeah, not good. I just can't believe it. Like they're going to miss 3 World Cups in a row. If you told me that in 2006, I would be like, you're off your rocker. It's absolutely insane. But so is football. Boys, there's no A-League to look back on, so there'll be no moments of the round this week.
Yeah, but I've got one.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever it was.
I wish you didn't do that.
That's my
That was really poor, but thanks for that also. Boys, let's talk Socceroos. Look, on surface value, a good, strong win for the Socceroos last night, Macca. What were your takeaways from this? Everything sort of changed about an hour in when the subs came on.
Yeah.
Shock horror, Australia's pretty good when we've got our best players on the field.
Yeah, and, you know, that just goes the same with every team, really, isn't it? But, look, let's be honest, it was They were a little bit more aggressive in their press, which you thought they might be with the team ranked the same, where Curaçao is. When the second half started, though, and Curaçao scored their goal, you actually thought, ooh, this isn't going the way we want it to go. And for about 15 minutes into that second half, and let's be honest, until Boss, Irankunda and Riley McBreen came on, those three really changed the complexion of the game. They were all outstanding. They had game-changing moments, all of them. They all had a hand in the goals. And we were miles better with those three on the park.
Yeah, I think if you look at this window as a whole, it's difficult to be critical when you're, 2 wins going into the window. You would have taken that any day of the week. But I think when you dive a little bit deeper and go into the weeds of it, I think the first half in both of these performances...
Way better than Macca, thanks.
yeah, exactly. I think the first half in both games, I think there was a little bit alarm bells ringing about us with the ball. I still think there's some serious question marks, which this window did not alleviate, I guess, in terms of making the game and playing out through the back.
Playing through that midfield seems to be a problem. And we don't seem to... I know there is, but it doesn't seem to be a plan.
And
it's been a problem for the Socceroos for a while, though, let's be honest. But as we sort of bring this to a little bit of an A-League perspective as well, because there was some involvement in these 2 games, we looked all right when Okon was on the field for me. I mean, we've had a lot of debate over Paul Okon Jr., whether it's too soon for him to be in the national team, how good his season has been in comparison to other central midfielders in the A-League. For me, his 2 cameos off the bench helped swing the game a little bit in both aspects, and in that way, that playing through, that Australia's always seemed to struggle with.
And I think as the game kind of opened up, I think that the players we have in their mobility and their kind of willingness to attack space, the likes of Boss Irankunda, I think that complements their strengths well. I think the end of games, and that kind of coincides with how Popper's reign's gone. In second half, we've always put in much better performances than in the first half. But I do think, though, and I completely agree with you, I think Okon Jr. did nothing to harm his chances of going to a World Cup in this window. I thought he was very good in both games. But I do think, that number 6 kind of position with Metcalf and O'Neill in there, they were also question marks, and I'm not sure that'll be the pairing at the World Cup, to be honest.
Yeah, I have the same reservations about that combination. You've got to remember, Jackson Irvine we're expecting will be there, so that the thing that Tony Popovich are probably looking at is which individual best suits sitting next to Irvine, and also, if I don't have Irvine, what combination serves me well, in that respect too. So there's a few different jigsaw puzzles that he's playing with. Another one, I'm not sure if we all expected Lucas Herrington to start both games. He did exceptionally well in the first one against Cameroon. Macca a little bit loose at times against Curaçao, but still probably showed enough that he is very much in contention for a spot in this World Cup squad, which is not bad for a bloke who is playing for Brisbane Roar, it feels like a couple of days ago.
Yeah, and I think he was one of the big reasons why Brisbane Roar haven't won a game since. When you take someone of his quality out, he has been fantastic. Ruben Zakovic called it a long time ago.
Before he'd even played a game, I think, for the
he
Roar.
said this is one. Well, he actually said he's the best in the country at the time, but I think he meant he was the best ceiling.
Yeah.
And he has been quality. He stepped up in that first game. You would never have thought he was an 18-year-old playing his first game for his country. Probably a little bit looser in this last game against Curaçao on the other side. Got it caught out in behind, but it's a learning curve. And he is, without a doubt, a talent for the future. And I can't see him not being there in a 26-man squad, because the experience he'll gain, even if he doesn't get minutes from being in that environment, will only put Australia and the Socceroos in good stead going forward.
Completely agree. And I think the other player who, you know, with a little bit of a similar A-League history is Kai Truan, who obviously was involved heavily in this window, playing out of position at right wing back, but I thought he did his chances no harm at all as well. He's so versatile. Yeah. He's just so reliable. It doesn't matter where they put him on the pitch, you know he's going to do a good job, and I think he's kind of got one foot on the plate as well.
So we now know that the first game the Socceroos will play in at the World Cup will be against Turkey. How many positions in Tony Popovich's starting 11 do you think are locked away now?
Left wing back, Geordie Boss.
That's for sure.
That's a
Matty Ryan.
As well.
Right wing back, I think Jacob Italiano. I mean, there's no other in front of him, and he's done really well. So I think that's done. I think Chicardi done.
Yeah.
Forward of that, or do you think Cameron Burgess, is a certainty?
Is he a certainty? I think he's a favourite, but I wouldn't say he's a certainty.
I would put Italiano in the same thing. I think he's a favourite without being a certainty, because it wouldn't surprise me if Kai Truan was given the nod there, for example, come the World Cup. But I think Riley McGree, for me, I think that every time he's on the field, the Socceroos are a different beast. He runs in behind. He's so mobile. He kind of reads the game. He knows when to come short, when to kind of make those runs in beyond. I just think that his intelligence adds a whole nother dynamic to the Socceroos.
And I look at Irankunda, the way he came in and changed the game, and I must admit, as someone when I first started playing the game, you'd come off the bench and you're scoring goals and you start to get this moniker of the super sub. I think Nestor, he won't like to hear this, but I think that could be up Popper's sleeve to say, well, we'll go 60, 70 minutes with someone else battling away, and then we're going to throw Nestor on and then go and do your damage.
Yeah. There's a handful of spots still, you know, backup roles, bench roles, squad roles, I think, that are still up for grabs. And it'll be interesting to see over the last few weeks of the A-League season if anyone can put their hands up for that, because there's, I think, still some tough decisions ahead of Popper, some heartbreak for sure, as there always is when a World Cup squad is named. So a lot to look forward to there. We're going to pivot back home, and I feel like our weekly Wanderers segment, to be honest. Sorry if we're going to repeat ourselves here, but that's just the nature of this situation that the Wanderers have found themselves in. They have now officially appointed Ufuk Talay as their coach.
So what we said was correct.
Yep.
He signed a long-term deal.
I should say as well that after last week's episode, Sydney FC were very keen to let it know that their decision to part ways with him had nothing to do with the links between Ufuk Talay and the Wanderers. You've got some water there, Macca, if required. People can make their own judgments on that. Obviously, it hasn't been received too well, Tommy, by Wanderers fans. Naturally.
Well, I think that, that all the issues that we've spoken about a lot on this show are about, coaches going in and there being a lot of things behind the scenes that are maybe contributing to the team not performing to their capacity. They haven't been fixed, so they've just kind of put a new coach in, but all those problems, as far as we can tell, are still there. So I think that's the issue. It's not to say that, they don't think Ufuk Talay is a bad coach or a good coach, but I think that, it wasn't the holistic kind of clean out that everybody thinks that the Wanderers need. And, time will tell if that still does kind of happen or eventuate, but at the same time, it's going to take some convincing for the Wanderers fans after what's been so long and so many years of heartache.
The one thing that will convince them very quickly is if they come out and win their first 5 games next year.
That's right.
All of a sudden, Uffy will be, number one man out west.
Yep.
They've got a few games before then. They've got Melbourne City this weekend. Gary Van Egmond will remain in charge for the rest of the season. We still don't know who the football director or sporting director or whatever you want to call it will be. They're in the market, I've been assured, and we've seen some links, which I've heard also around approaches to Fahid Ben Khalfallah to stop being an agent and start working for a club, and Morgan Schneiderlin, the former Wanderers player as well. That's true. For me, it's just interesting that they've appointed... They're doing the right thing in the wrong order.
Yeah.
They've identified that they need to make this appointment, but they've put in a coach first. And it doesn't necessarily mean that Ufuk Talay is going to fail, but what it does mean is it's a little bit awkward. You need to find a football director who's okay with that appointment, I guess, to begin with. And whatever strategic identity work they do, obviously needs to align with the fact that you've just put this bloke in charge. Otherwise, what's the point of doing any of it?
Yeah, I completely agree. But I think the one thing, though, that appointing Uffy does do, if you're looking at the positives, is it gives them certainty around players contracting in terms of who he's going to want to keep and who he's going to want to let go. And we discussed it last week on the show. There is a core kind of spine there of players that I'm sure Uffy will want to keep. Like the Cicluna, Pandazopoulos, Thurgate. These are tremendous players who could fit into any system in the A-League, to be honest, or any team. So there is the kind of core group there. But at the same time, the Wanderers have been so poor of late that I think it really puts the players on notice now, because they know who's stepping in next season, and it kind of makes it more real, and they know if they don't perform in the next kind of couple of months, then it's all over for them potentially.
Well, two finals in 10 years says it all. It needs to be changed. It needs to be changed quickly. And the thing that will bring the people back and get the community behind them is success. But all of those ducks have to be in a row for that success to be sustained.
Yeah. Yep. Interesting situation as well at Sydney FC. Obviously, Ufuk Talay gone. Patrick Kisnorbo in there as the interim coach. It's similar decisions in terms of players playing for contracts and who's going to be around next season. Only they're missing the future aspect of they don't have a coach appointed next season. We don't know if PK will be there longer than just the last 4 games of this season. But he did come out on the front foot this week at his first opportunity when asked about the nature of his exit from Melbourne Victory and how he felt that he was portrayed. Let's have a listen to what he had to say.
Well, when this opportunity came to go to Japan, Yokohama contacted the club. And then once that happened, I spoke to the hierarchy, because if I didn't get their blessing in terms of taking an opportunity, I wouldn't have gone, because I know a lot of people there that are friends to this day. So once they sort of told me, listen, I think it's a great opportunity, then it's hard to let go. What happened after that is the disappointing, because they're the ones that said that I just left and this and that, and also the club got a fee for me. So financially I looked after, not myself, but they got compensated, so I just didn't leave because it just came from me. This was a well thought sort of decision, and at the start I didn't want to go. That was honestly, I didn't want to go because we were doing well at the time, but I still got people from Melbourne Victory calling me this day. So if I was that bad, then why would they ring me?
The good bloke defence, they call that. Boys, reaction, what do we think about that? He's obviously wanted to get that off his chest for a long time.
Yeah, it seems strange that you've got a Sydney FC badge on his shirt and he's talking about his Melbourne Victory days. We had a little discussion earlier, and you sort of think it's the kind of moment where you go, look, that's in the past. I'm here to concentrate on Sydney FC now. But it's obviously been niggling at him for a while, because he has kept quiet about it and hasn't really said anything. So maybe he just went, I just need to clear the air now so I don't get consistently asked about it.
Yeah.
So he's just put the line in the sand and said it's done now.
And I think his appointment was kind of followed with a little bit of scepticism from some corners, because of the fact that he's now coached a number of A-League teams who are maybe rivals to each other, and how easily it seemed on the surface that he moved across. So that's probably where it stemmed from, is, as you said, trying to nip it in the bud before it kind of gets any bigger.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he's done that for Sydney FC's sake, because they have some important games of football to look ahead to. Let's have a look at the ladder right now and how things stand in the league as we look forward to this coming weekend. There's some big fixtures, boys. The first one, Thursday night, Macarthur, Newcastle. Macca, can they put one hand, 1.5 hands? How many hands do you think they can put on the Premier's plate if they get that win?
Yeah, look, they get the win, then they'll just be eagerly watching the rest of the matches on the weekend, because it could be theirs by the weekend's over, realistically.
Yeah.
I think this is the one that is almost like a grand final before the grand finals.
And coming up against Macarthur, who is, obviously off the back of a great result in Auckland, they're going to be flying high and full of confidence. And this game has a bit of a history in terms of being very entertaining fixture. So I think that this game's not going to be as straightforward as the ladder might suggest it will be.
Yeah. Big Thursday night, really, because after that, Brisbane Roar versus Sydney FC, an important game for Sydney as they try and shore up their position in the top 6 and make sure they have a favourable first run of finals. Some big news, though, from across the ditch, Macca. We don't know what Auckland FC look like when they don't have Francis de Vries at left back, because that has just never happened. Uber consistent, one of the best players in the league from the jump, to be honest, since the club's creation. He's been there, ever present. fantastic player, and he will now be out for the next 6 weeks with a calf injury, which, for me, advantage Jets, really.
Yeah, massively. I went back and checked over since they started the goals and assists, and you've got Jesse Randall on 19, Guillermo Mai and Francis de Vries on 18 goals and assists between them. So it's a huge miss. But it's not only that, the actual goals and assists, it's the delivery, the balls that he puts in, the way that he gets forward and gets them on the front foot. And like you said, we've never seen someone else play in that position. So we had a quick chat about it before. It's like, who is the left back that replaces him?
That's right.
We've never had to think about it before.
And I think the other part of it is, you know, Auckland this year, we've spoken about it a bit on this show, how defensively they've probably not been as compelling as they were last season. And I think that taking him out is taking out a lot of experience as well. And I think that's only going to, you know, create a bigger problem for them defensively. And coming up against a team who we know loves to attack down the wings could be a tough weekend for them, I think.
Do you think there's any impact additionally from, I mean, de Vries was one of 5 blokes they had on international duty with New Zealand, and their international players would have played a fair bit more than the Socceroos ones did. Do you think that puts them a little bit more at a disadvantage as well? There's potentially some tired legs there in that Auckland team.
Well, I think every time the international window comes around, I think that's the moment you want to play Auckland off the back of that, and it's for all the reasons you just said. And I think, you know, the travel is one thing. The emotional, obviously they had a great result against Chile, but to get up for this game as well, we know how hard Coopers is physically. I think, you know, because they're so, Adelaide plays with such high intensity and such energy, that's a really difficult game. And yeah, I think that this one, I think Adelaide's going to win this game.
I think Adelaide are going to win, but I think for all different reasons, I think it's going to be a tough game, because I actually think they played both their games in New Zealand, didn't they? So there wasn't too much travel. I think getting the good win they did against Chile will boost those guys' morale, and they'll be up and ready to go. So I think that it could have another effect. Now we're in a good frame of mind, confidence is high. But I for some reason, yeah, I'm with you. For some reason, I think Adelaide's going to win this one.
Half empty, half full then on the international.
Exactly.
Very interesting. A game of perspectives, they say. Yeah. Let's have a look at something else. We compiled, with some minor disagreements, I would say, boys, an 11 of the best players who are coming off contract this season. Of course, right now, clubs and players who are coming off contract will be talking about what they're going to do next. And there's a lot out there in the market, fellas. First of all, I just think this team is not bad, to be honest.
Well, the front four in particular, I think that is, you know, as good as it gets, really. 4 of the standout players in the competition. You look at the bench even and it's stacked. So having the likes of Valupale, who's obviously in the Socceroos, Joe Lolly, who, you know, one of the best players in the competition for a long time. I think there are some injury kind of question marks around him, but, you know, to give him a contract, I think teams would be stupid not to look at that possibility. But yeah, I think that teams should be looking at this list with a matter of urgency potentially.
Will Lewis Verstrada be looking at this list with a matter of urgency in a financial sense, Macca? He's got a huge opportunity here.
Yeah. For me, he's been the best player, if not the best, one of the best in the last 2 years. It's always hard with the A-League because there's so many players every year that come off contract that this was we had a few little disagreements on there, but I think that team would do all right, wouldn't they? If we'll just say Western United come back in next year and got all those players in, you'd just have a sneaky fiver on them winning something.
100%.
Does pretty much every club have to have their best crack at Verstrada, given just how dominant he's been in that position? I
don't think he's got any shortage of suitors.
That's right. I think Auckland would be crazy to let him go, to be honest. I think their success has coincided with his performances. I think he's such a key cog for them in the midfield, and you take him out and Auckland's a different beast altogether.
I think foreign clubs, though, might be the big problem.
That's right.
I think that when they can come in and start offering a lot more money, I think that might be the case at Auckland, and the other teams that are looking at him might go, well, all of a sudden he's out of our budget.
And the problem for Auckland there is he's off contract. He's not able to be sold, which is disappointing because I reckon you could cash in deluxe with him to a J League or somewhere in Asia or even back in Europe, to be honest. He's been that good. We're just going to have a look at a quick video now of, acknowledging that it's a Macarthur-Newcastle game this weekend. A little video from Harry Sawyer on Kicking Back talking about that ball boy celebration from the last time these two teams met.
Danny, before the game, was like, what have you got for us? And I was like, I'll think of something. I think I came off the bench. And I just scored, and then I saw the ball boy, and I'm like, he's mine. Went over, and I said, like, jump on my back. He's like, what? And I'm like, go. And he just jumped on and then did a little...
Here it is.
The irony was, you did a jet celebration with a Jets ball kid at the Jets. It just scored against them.
Yeah.
That was quality. But I remember, because I think when you first scored, it took you 17 games to score your goal, didn't it? And I went, it's like Peter Crouch. It took him ages to get there. Now he'll go on a run. And then the next week you pulled out the Peter Crouch and you did the robot. And I was like, I like this guy. This is my cut of my jib.
No, I heard you. I think maybe it was like the week or two before. I think when I scored against the Jets at home, my first goal for MacArthur, you said like it took you the same as Peter Crouch. I'm like, if you think that's like Peter Crouch, wait, you're the robot. So no, it's a bit of fun.
Look at the bonnet as well.
Yeah, I've shaved it off. I should go back to it. It took me that long to grow it, and
Funny gear. Poor boy kid had no idea what was going on there. And then got brushed afterwards. I don't know if you saw it. Just moved on and, funny gear. Nalene, welcome to the desk.
Thank you.
You've been digging around the archives this week, huh?
I have to preview some of the fixtures. One of the most infamous moments when we talk about Brisbane Roar taking on Sydney FC is that moment when Besart Berisha got into it with Pascal Boscart. Now, we've seen this several million times, and it won't be the last time we've seen it again. He told him to come down the tunnel, take it outside, as you do, when they scored the 2 late goals. What were your initial reactions when you first saw this happen?
Well, Bess is always at the thick of it, isn't he? It's always him and someone. He's just, I think that's just the way he played. He wore his heart on his sleeve, and he was loved to antagonise the opposition. And this time, obviously, someone took the bait, obviously.
But this is Sunday League stuff, isn't it? Oh, I'm going to see you in the car park after, mate. Not in the stadium. He's trying to run down the tunnel going, come on, come outside.
The funniest thing about this for me, Macca, is anyone who's worked or played at Suncorp Stadium before knows that the car park is actually inside the stadium. So if you want to say, I want to take this outside into the car park, you're looking at Castlemaine Street or Caxton Street, to be honest, because the car park's inside.
I want to know Besart actually was waiting at the car park. That's what I want to know. But anyway,
I would put nothing past that man, especially at that time. Peak. What's the word I'm looking for? Mohawk.
Yeah.
So he had that thing on his head. He was new to the league. He was going crazy.
Yeah.
Thing is, though, with Bess, I'll be honest, playing against him, hated him. Absolutely hated him. And we would talk about winding him up beforehand because you knew you could wind him up. And he probably should have got sent off in a few games. Refs didn't get it right and only gave a yellow. But you speak to him off the pitch, the nicest, quietest spoken bloke. He's a gentleman and all that. It's literally that white line fever guy.
Right,
and when I first spoke to him off the pitch, I was like, he's the nicest guy ever. Yeah. And I've spent all this time hating you. I don't know why.
And there's a few players like that. Kevin Muscat was another one. Exactly the same.
Yeah. As a former Adelaide United fan, it was really disappointing. The first time I met Kevin Muscat and he was an absolute legend, I was like, damn it.
Well, I was going to ask you two, who's the biggest hothead you've played with or played against? Is he up there, or is there another one that comes to mind?
Danny Tiato's mine. And I never felt the wrath of it because I was his teammate. But even at training, I was so scared of him, to be honest, because I was probably 16, 17, and he would have been twice my age probably at the end of his career. But he's just some of the tackles he used to do. I remember there was one against Adelaide, actually. He did one at Suncorp, which has become quite famous, but that was something. And, he was just a player I'm glad I never had to play against.
Yeah. Great bloke if he's watching this.
He is.
I don't know him, but full respect.
Well, now, scuffles are one thing, but the A-Leagues have had the fair share of weather condition, chaos, madness. Back in season 1, it was New Zealand Knights taking on Adelaide United, and it was an absolute mud bath. I mean, the pitch was just shallow.
You can't blame the pitch for those. That's violence.
I just can't believe this game went ahead, to be honest. Look at the state of that. The ball's not rolling at all.
What? It didn't stop them because we saw goals in it as well. But, geez, I mean...
Great entertainment.
Just champagne football here.
Let's put it this way. These players would have never forgotten that game.
No way.
Yeah. Have any of you played in remotely similar conditions to that or have seen it?
I remember in Romania we used to train. OK, we didn't play, but we would train. It snowed about 12 inches of snow, and they were like, right, we're going to go out and train. And the ball would just get stuck in like your footprints and roll and stop in the hole where your foot was. And I was like, what are we doing?
100%. And do you know what the funny thing was? Is they obviously grew up playing and training in the snow, so they knew how to be proactive in terms of maybe being exactly. Whereas I literally had never even seen snow, and I was trying to kick a ball, and I was just skating across. I remember sliding everywhere in there, That's so bad.
That is so bad.
My outdoor five-a-side games get cancelled when there's even a light sprinkling of rain, so I have I can't relate. But at least we've learned as a league from this, because I was at a Gold Coast United game where Clive Palmer threw the gates open.
Yep.
If you remember that, it was it? Were you playing
Mariners,
in it?
I was in that game.
Yeah,
Got called off after like 35 minutes.
Shattering. There were like 15,000 people there. And
the good thing about that was that Adam Kwasnick had scored and we had to redo the game and he got that goal taken off him, so that was great. We had a great laugh about that.
Very good.
Very well, I'm glad player welfare is now, of course,
Yeah,
at the...
it's come a long way.
Yes, exactly right. Well, on Saturday, Macca, your former team, the Mariners, they're going to host Perth Glory at Polytech Stadium.
My other family team.
Oh, yes, your other team. And there was a moment back in 2006 they'll be hoping not to see a repeat of. We'll see Simon Colissimo. He took a very, very quick free kick and Danny Vukovic did not see it coming, to say the very least.
This angle coming up where the next one where he's just standing there. He does not move. Look at him. Yeah, what?
Sun's in his eyes, obviously. Got the hat on.
But he's just setting up the wall. Like, you can see he's like,
Yeah.
wait. And I actually don't even know if the ref blew his whistle for the free kick to be taken.
I hope he did, because if he didn't, doing that afterwards is just absolutely outrageous. It's just like full stickler areas.
That couldn't happen now, could it?
No, I don't think so. You don't. I think you have to wait for the referee to blow
say-
the whistle.
yeah,
Or to,
in those areas now, isn't it always... Because you used to... I do have vague memories of having to go to the referee, we want to take a quick one, we want to take it.
Yeah.
And if they just stepped back and blew the whistle, you could.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's the same now.
I was just going to say, it feels like a bit of a lost art, like the quick free kicks. Why got to wait for the ref? Just
Muskie used to be
Take
good
them
at that. Not in those shooting areas, but Kevin Muscat to Archie. If anywhere in that mid-third area, put the ball down and everyone would turn away and he'd just put it down and play it quick.
Yeah.
And they caused so many problems with it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Unethical for me.
Well, let's see. Perth Glory hope they take inspiration potentially and do it against the Mariners this
Yes.
weekend.
Well, I'm not sure about that.
A draw will satisfy you, Macca, or what?
I'll probably... The Mariners at the moment, well, they're fighting for the 6.
Yeah, that's right. I think there's more on the line for the Mariners, so
Very true.
they get the win.
Very true. Thank you, Nalene. Thank you, guys. Enjoy the football this weekend. We'll see you next week.